I have been married to Carter for 5 years. Suddenly, I found out that I was pregnant. He has a bit of oligospermia, so I was particularly excited. I couldn't sleep all night due to the unstable condition of the fetus. I decided to quit the modeling industry and focus on resting at home on Valentine's Day night. Carter was working late. I suddenly had an idea. I wanted to give him a surprise, so I brought him dinner while heavily pregnant. I had just arrived at the office entrance when I saw him kissing a female model intimately. She had a really nice figure, just as perfect as Isabella back then. It's a pity she doesn't compare to you now. She has fallen far behind. That woman glanced at me and deliberately straightened her posture. She asked Carter, "Carter, do you prefer your wife, or do you prefer me?" Carter's expression became stern. He started to act casually. "I didn't notice me at the door at all," he said. "Don't think I don't know what you're thinking. Listen to me. I won't treat you poorly, but try not to disturb her. Her most important task now is to have my child. Baby, don't forget to drink milk. It's very good for your health." Seeing that familiar handwriting on the note, I couldn't help but smile. It warmed my heart. Next to the note was a cup of warm milk. We've been married for 5 years. Carter's attentiveness and care have become a part of my life. It's as natural as breathing. Due to an unexpected pregnancy, I had to withdraw from the modeling industry. I gave up this career. Carter understands that I'm a bit uncomfortable inside, so he always tries to make me happy. He's especially good to me. A few days ago, he even specifically canceled an important engagement and accompanied me to see an art exhibition I liked. Tonight, I'm planning to give him a surprise. With the assistance of the nanny, I carefully prepared a candlelit dinner. Recently, Carter has been working late into the night. Thinking about how hard he works, I feel a bit uneasy. I just finished tidying up. Just then, Carter's call came in. He said, "Hello, darling, I might have to work late tonight. Don't wait for me. Get some rest early." His voice sounded a bit tired. "It's a little concerning." "It's fine, you focus on your work. I'll take good care of myself. Don't work too hard yourself," I softly responded. I verbally agreed, but in my heart I thought, why not personally deliver this surprise to him? I'm over 5 months pregnant. This is the first time I'm bringing him lunch. Even though we've been married for 5 years, I'm still a bit shy inside. At the same time, it also feels sweet. I'm holding a thermal container, arrived at Carter's company, walked to his office door. The door wasn't closed tightly. There was a gap left. I heard a voice inside. It sounded very gentle. The scene I caught a glimpse of through the crack of the door. It struck me like a bolt of lightning. It left me frozen in place. Carter was half leaning against his desk. A boldly dressed young woman was pressed against him. That was Sophia, a rising star in the modeling industry. They were tightly embraced, oblivious to the gazes around them, passionately kissing. Her clothes were nearly slipping off. This scene was directly imprinted in my eyes. I felt like I had fallen into an ice cave. My whole body was frozen and lost feeling. "Darling, you have an amazing figure." Carter's voice was deep and somewhat ambiguous, completely different from his usual reserved self. He gently patted Sophia. His tone was teasing. "I should have discovered how interesting you are sooner." It's all thanks to Carter's excellent guidance." Sophia smiled. She slightly straightened her body. She moved a little closer to Carter. "Carter, do you like me this way?" Carter moved forward with satisfaction. He said gently, "Of course I do. You are naturally beautiful. You have a great figure. Your face is also lovely. Perfect in every way. Just as beautiful as Isabella was back then. What a pity. Isabella is pregnant now. Her figure isn't as good as it used to be." My heart suddenly tightened, as if gripped tightly by an invisible hand. "Carter, you prefer my sister-in-law more, or do you prefer me?" Sophia continued to ask. There was a hint of pride in her eyes. Carter paused for a moment. He gently pinched her face. He answered without hesitation, "Her current performance compared to yours. She falls far short." His words were like a sharp knife. It pierced deeply into my heart. The pain made it hard for me to breathe. Carter was holding Sophia. She softly asked, "Carter, so how do you plan to deal with things on your sister-in-law's side?" Her tone was gentle, but there was a hint of probing in her words. Carter's tone immediately became serious, with a reminder, "Don't disturb her. Her main task now is to have my child. Don't make things difficult for me at this time." Sophia said in a spoiled manner, "Carter, I also want a formal identity." Her tone was filled with grievance. Carter replied coldly, "Don't say any more. Isabella's position will always belong to her. But don't worry, I won't treat you unfairly," he said. He took out a beautifully wrapped gift box from the drawer. He handed it to Sophia. Sophia received the gift box. She smiled and said, "Thank you, Carter." Sophia saw the gift. She immediately broke into a bright smile. She said gently, "I will definitely work hard to maintain my figure for Carter's gift." Carter showed a satisfied smile. His hand gently roamed over the woman's body. He was completely unaware of me standing at the door. Sophia in his arms was breathing softly. She wore a hint of pride. She glanced over at me. I gripped the thermos tightly. My nails dug into my palm. I took a deep breath. I tried hard to suppress the discomfort in my heart, but the tears fell like loose beads. They kept rolling down. If it weren't for being pregnant, I would definitely rush in and slap them. I'm definitely going to rush in and give them a few slaps. This is me at the moment. I can only leave feeling dejected. My tears blurred my vision. I couldn't tell whether the moisture on my face was from tears or rain. I returned home. I saw the cold candlelight dinner on the table. I spent the entire afternoon, specifically learning to cook his favorite dishes. I naively thought he would get off work early on Valentine's Day to enjoy a romantic evening with me. It's really funny, so ridiculous. I couldn't hold it in any longer. The grievances, anger, and despair inside me all surged out at once. I slowly walked to the table. I pushed all the dishes, candles, and flowers off the table onto the floor. Looking at the messy scene on the floor, I actually felt particularly calm inside. I used to be a top model in the fashion industry. Major magazines rushed to invite me. Countless flashes chased after me. My name was once the center of attention, but for Carter and the kids, I gave it all up. After getting married, I discovered that Carter has oligospermia. Because of this reason, I cherished the unexpected child even more. So, I began the long and difficult process of maintaining the pregnancy. During this time, I underwent countless examinations. I also received countless injections to support the pregnancy. That kind of physical pain, that kind of mental torment. Only those who have experienced it can understand. Looking at my deformed figure in the mirror, I suddenly realized I am no longer the glamorous model I used to be. But at that time, I had no regrets. As long as I could have a child with Carter, I was willing to give everything. Looking back, I feel like such a big fool. Simply the biggest fool in the world. I gave everything. Yet the result was like this. I bitterly laughed at myself, Isabella. You really think too much. At this moment, a sound of keys turning came from outside the door. Carter is back. He pushed the door open. He saw the living room in disarray. He was momentarily stunned. Then he showed a worried expression. He quickly walked up to me. Gently, he pulled me into his arms. He asked with concern, "Isabella, what happened? Are you okay?" His voice was very soft. It sounded a bit fake. I stared at him coldly. I felt particularly disgusted inside. He had just been affectionate with another woman. Now he was pretending to be so loving in front of me. My past affection now has all turned into hate. "Why are you soaking wet?" Only then did he notice my hair and clothes were wet. He quickly grabbed a blanket from the sofa. Gently, he helped me dry off. He said, "How could you be so careless? Quick, go take a hot shower. Don't catch a cold." His movements are very light. It's like I'm a fragile porcelain doll. Carter is really busy, yet he still finds time to care about me. I'm truly flattered. I said coldly. Carter paused for a moment. He looked a bit unhappy, but he quickly regained his composure. "Isabella, what are you talking about? I'm really tired from working overtime today. Can you please stop messing around?" He looked at the pieces on the ground. Then he looked at me. He sighed softly. He pulled me into his arms, gently soothing me. "Today is Valentine's Day. I shouldn't be working overtime. It's my fault. I know you feel bad being home alone. I'm sorry, baby. It's my mistake. I shouldn't have focused only on work and neglected you. In a few days, I have a holiday. How about I take you on a trip?" I sat there in a daze. He hugged me. Although his embrace was warm, I couldn't feel any warmth at all. He took out a beautiful little box from his pocket. He handed it to me. Smiling, he said, "This is a gift for you. Take a look and see if you like it." I took the box. I opened it up. Inside was a lipstick. I recognized it at a glance. This lipstick was a promotional gift for spending a certain amount at a certain brand, but he had never bought me any jewelry from that brand. Now that I think about it, he's actually not that perfect. Once I wake up to reality, I can see all his flaws. A cold smile appeared at the corner of my mouth. I casually threw the box aside. Carter's brows furrowed even deeper. It seemed like he was getting a bit impatient. "Isabella, you weren't like this before. What's going on with you today? Do you really have to speak like this?" The air seems to have frozen all of a sudden. The atmosphere is so heavy that it's hard to breathe. I'm just speaking the truth. Carter, there's no need to be so angry. I just said it casually. Carter, you really know how to act. You think I don't know anything. Carter takes a deep breath. He tries to control his emotions. Isabella, I'm not going to argue with you. You go take a shower first. Get some good rest. We'll talk about it tomorrow. After he finished speaking, he picked me up in his arms and walked towards the bathroom. I stayed quietly, without struggling. I just forced myself to say a lot earlier. My body really can't take it anymore. He carried me to the side of the bathtub, gently helped me take off my clothes, adjusted the water temperature. I silently watched him. He looked a bit uncomfortable. His gaze flickered for a moment. He turned and walked out of the bathroom. I'm soaking alone in the bathtub. The hot water makes me feel warm, but inside I feel icy cold. What am I really waiting for? I'm thinking. Will he give me an explanation? I stand up. I dry myself off. I change into my pajamas. I quietly walk out of the bathroom. Carter is sitting at the edge of the bed. He looks very tired. He rubs his temples. He hears the door open. He looks up. A warm smile immediately appears on his face. All done. How do you feel? You're not feeling unwell. Are you? I walk to the side of the bed. I quietly lie down. Carter lets out a sigh. He reaches out and pulls me into his arms. Isabella, I know you're still angry with me. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have left you alone on Valentine's Day, Carter. Are you only concerned about the baby in my belly? Or are you saying that you just want a child? I suddenly interrupted him. I asked calmly. Carter was taken aback for a moment. Then he frowned and said, Isabella, what are you talking about? Of course I love you. Don't overthink the baby situation. I have completely lost hope. I looked at him. I said calmly, Carter, let's get a divorce. Carter suddenly looked up. He asked me in shock. What did you say, let's get a divorce? I said it again. My tone was still very calm. I have completely lost faith in you. Carter's expression changed dramatically. He questioned Isabella sternly. Isabella, wake up. Do you understand what you are saying? I am very clear. I looked directly into his eyes. He said firmly, I'm very clear about what I'm saying, and I fully understand what I'm doing. Carter, we really don't need to continue this any further. Carter's face looked very grim. He took a deep breath. He said coldly, Isabella, don't go too far. I admit that working overtime today was my fault, but you can't just divorce me over this, right? Besides, didn't I already give you a gift? I suddenly laughed. I didn't respond to him again. Where did Carter buy this lipstick? It was a free gift he got while buying a present for the mistress. He could even give it to me. It's impressive how you can be so thrifty. Carter's expression completely froze. The room was so quiet that we could only hear each other's breathing. Carter, stop pretending. Don't you feel tired? I said with a cold smile. Anyway, there are plenty of young and beautiful girls outside for you. One less or one more doesn't matter to me. Let me go. You already know. Carter's face looked a bit pale. Isabella said coldly, Of course I know, Carter, you really are something. Behind my back, you have someone else, and you even boldly give me gifts. Do you really think I don't exist? I let out a cold laugh. When you and Sophia were doing those things in the office, did you ever consider my feelings? Did you ever think about the child in your belly, Isabella? You listened to me first. Carter tried to hold my hand. I forcefully broke free. Explain. What's there to explain? Do you want to tell me how you betrayed me? Go ahead, tell me. Why do you look down on me so much? I shouted loudly. Carter, let me tell you, I really can't take it anymore. Let's get a divorce. Carter remained silent. I thought he would explain. He would deny it, or continue to pretend to have feelings for me. But he suddenly looked up. He said calmly, Yes, I did cheat. So what? I, Carter, have money and power. What kind of woman do I want? I can have anyone. But I still chose you. I married you. Those women were just for fun. I never thought about leaving you. His words shocked and angered me greatly. He said it was just for fun. I asked hoarsely, Carter, what do you take me for? Just a tool to bear your children? Carter sneered. He retorted, Isabella, wake up. You really have no interest at all right now. I was shaking with anger, but I couldn't say a word. Moreover, I'm just looking for women outside to relieve stress. I'm so tired from working every day. Can't I relax a bit? Carter said confidently. I've already been good enough to you. Food, clothing, and necessities. Which one is lacking because of you? What are you still unsatisfied with? I feel like my worldview is being overturned. Carter, you are truly disappointing. I laughed out of anger. You did something wrong to me, and you still think you are justified. Carter shrugged, looking completely unconcerned. Say whatever you want. Anyway, I won't get a divorce. Isabella, I advise you not to think about it anymore. We still have feelings for each other, and we have children. Are you really going to throw all of that away? I shook off his hand forcefully. I told him word by word, even if you disagree, I will also sue in court. I must divorce you. I'll make it clear to you. I'd rather die than live with you again. Listen to me. Carter's gaze instantly sharpened. He suddenly grabbed my arm, pulling me toward the bathroom. Isabella, if you insist on being this stubborn, I will fulfill your wish right now. Let you die. He pushed me into the bathtub, turning on the shower. Cold water poured directly over my head. I shouted. Let me go, I screamed. Carter, how can you do this? I struggled with all my might, but he didn't listen at all. He held me tightly, letting the cold water continuously pour over me, but he quickly turned off the shower, carrying me out of the bathroom. I was trembling all over. Carter picked up a towel. Help me dry my hair and body, he said. All done, stop messing around. I'll take you back to your room to rest. Without saying a word, he picked me up and carried me to the bedroom, put me on the bed, cover me with the blanket. Next, he took out a bag of black liquid from somewhere. He handed it to me and said, Drink this. What is this? I asked cautiously. This is a miscarriage prevention medicine. It was just prescribed by the doctor today. Carter said calmly, You are emotionally unstable. Drink the medicine and rest well. I coldly smiled. I threw the medicine bag on the floor. Carter, do you think I would still believe you? Who knows what this strange thing is? Stop messing around. Don't forget, your child is still in my belly. Carter rubbed his temples. He said wearily, Isabella, I know you're very angry right now, but things aren't as you think. I really don't want to get divorced. Give me another chance. Is that okay? I didn't say anything. Turned around and wrapped the blanket tighter, holding back the shivers in my body, closed my eyes. Carter shook his head helplessly, stood up and walked out of the room. I lay in bed, unknowingly fell asleep. While I was dreaming, it seemed like I saw many terrifying faces. They reached out their hands, trying to pull me into a bottomless black hole. I wanted to run, but my body couldn't move. The morning sunlight was warm, but my head was pounding badly. I leaned against the wall, slowly walked to the living room door, wanted to pour a glass of water. Before I got close, I heard a woman's voice. It made me feel a lot more awake. Carter, you performed exceptionally well last night. I haven't slept well since I got back. This is what Sophia said. I took a deep breath. I tried to calm the anger inside me. I quietly approached. I wanted to figure out what they were doing. I saw Sophia leaning in Carter's arms. She had a sweet smile on her face. Carter's hand rested on her shoulder. It seemed gentle, but his eyes looked a bit erratic. Sophia, be good. Once I finish the chores at home, I will definitely spend time with you. Carter's voice was low and gentle. I believe you. Sophia nodded obediently. Then her tone changed. She said with a hint of grievance, but I really don't want to keep sneaking around. She also hopes to be together with you openly, like an ordinary couple, holding hands while shopping. Let's watch a movie together. She lifted her head, looking at Carter with hopeful eyes. Carter sighed, gently stroking her hair, softly comforting her. I understand, you've been wronged. She smiled slightly, responding. It's okay, I don't care about those formalities. As long as I can be with you, I'm very satisfied, Sophia said softly. Her tone was gentle and considerate. Isabella is now carrying your child. She has sacrificed a lot for this family. I don't want to ruin your family, and I don't want the child to lose their mother. I just want to quietly be by your side, to give you some warmth and comfort. Hearing these words, I felt a wave of discomfort in my stomach. By the way, Isabella is pregnant now. Does she often get angry? Sophia said in a coquettish tone. At the same time, she secretly glanced towards the bedroom. I heard this. My heart suddenly tightened. She clearly knew that I had witnessed their intimate behavior last night. She did cause a scene yesterday, Carter casually remarked. His tone was flat. No emotion could be detected. At that moment, Carter seemed to sense something. He suddenly turned around. He asked, Isabella, is it you? Are you awake? He quickly pushed Sophia aside. Sophia obediently took a few steps back, creating some distance. I took a deep breath. I pushed the door open and walked up to them. I tried to make myself look calm. You two are so close this early in the morning. Don't you worry about dirtying my house. My tone was very calm. No emotion could be detected, but I knew. I've been really angry inside for a long time. Isabella, you're awake. Carter and I were just discussing work. Don't overthink it, Sophia quickly explained. Her tone was cautious. It seemed like she was afraid I'd get angry. It's a misunderstanding. being affectionate at my house with my husband. This is what you call work. I let out a cold laugh. Sophia was left speechless by my question. She could only look at Carter pitifully. I turned to look directly at Carter. I asked coldly, "Carter, you have something to say?" He stepped closer to me. He tried to touch my face, but I dodged it. His tone was still so gentle, as if nothing had happened yesterday. "Isabella, I understand you're feeling bad inside, but this situation is really different from what you imagine. It's not what I thought." "Then what is going on?" I asked with a cold laugh. "Did I see it wrong?" Carter sighed. He said helplessly, "Isabella, I admit it. Recently, I have indeed done some wrong things, but you have to believe me. I only have you in my heart. Just you," I retorted. My tone was sarcastic. "Then what is your relationship with Sophia?" I cast a disdainful glance at Sophia, just like the expression she had when she looked at me in the office last night. Carter's expression changed slightly, but he quickly regained his composure. He said in a low voice, "There are no feelings between her and me. It's just to satisfy physical needs." He smiled and turned to Sophia. Right, Sophia was taken aback by his gaze. She quickly nodded and said, "Yes." I laughed out of anger. I suddenly felt that arguing with such a person was pointless. "Carter, you really are something. How did I never notice this before, Isabella? How could you say that about me?" Carter looks visibly hurt. "You are pregnant now. Your body has changed. You're not as gentle with me as before. I'm a man. I have needs too. Sometimes I can't control myself." His words infuriated me. I couldn't help but say to Carter, "You're really disgusting." I don't want to say a word to him. I turned around and walked directly towards Sophia. I leaned close to her ear and whispered, "Sophia, do you think you've won? Let me tell you, you're wrong. I know Carter better than you do. He will eventually lose interest in you, and then discard you like trash." After saying that, I raised my hand and slapped her hard. Sophia cried out from the hit. She covered her face. Her eyes were filled with resentment as she looked at me. I didn't pay her any attention. I turned around. I slapped Carter hard again. This slap is for myself, and also for the child in my womb. Carter was a bit dazed from the hit. He stared at me blankly, as if he hadn't reacted yet. "Isabella, don't blame Carter. It's all my fault." Sophia suddenly spoke up. "I know I shouldn't disturb your lives, but I really love Carter. I won't ruin your family. I just want to be by his side, silently loving him." Hearing this, I couldn't help but laugh. Sophia really knows how to play the victim. She clearly struck first, and now she makes herself sound so wronged, as if I'm the unreasonable one. I tried my best to steady my emotions. I said coldly, "Carter, I will have my lawyer send you the divorce agreement if you keep pestering me like this. I can't guarantee that the baby in my belly won't have any problems." To get rid of him, I had to use the baby as an excuse. I turned and went into the bedroom. I took out the suitcase I had packed long ago. I walked out without hesitation. Carter indeed didn't stop me. However, I heard him say from behind, "Isabella, you think that after leaving, you'll have any way out. It won't be long. You will still come back to find me." I didn't look back, because I knew arguing further was pointless. My divorce from Carter was like a farce. It finally came to an end. I got a house and some assets. When Carter received the divorce certificate, he gently suggested taking me out for a meal. His confident demeanor seemed to imply that without him, I am nothing. Eventually, I would cry and come back begging for reconciliation. I rejected him, not because I dislike him, but because I had scheduled an abortion in the afternoon. In fact, the doctor had hinted at it before. The child's condition is not very optimistic. My health is not very good. If I insist on having this child, it might endanger both my safety and the child's. But at that time, I was confused. I didn't want to disappoint Carter, so I kept it a secret from him. I insisted on having the child. After the divorce, I felt there was no need to keep the child. In the days after completing the procedures, Carter sent me gifts every day in different ways. Today, he sent a bouquet of bright roses. He said it was to apologize to me. Tomorrow, he will send a bunch of health products. He said it was to show concern for my health. His calls and messages kept coming. It felt like he couldn't live without me. "Isabella, I know you're still angry. Come back. I will treat you well." "Isabella, stop being stubborn. I really can't live without you." Seeing those messages, it made me feel sick. From the moment he betrayed me, our relationship was completely over. After divorcing Carter, I originally planned to let go of the past and start anew, but I didn't expect Sophia still keeps bothering me endlessly. She might have realized that even though Carter divorced me, He still can't let go of me in his heart, so she wants to provoke me even more and completely crush me. That day, my phone suddenly received a bunch of MMS from unknown numbers. I opened it and took a look. I was almost disgusted in the photos. She deliberately showed off the hickeys on her neck and how Carter looked while sleeping. She said, "Isabella, stop thinking about playing hard to get. Carter is mine now. He comes to see me every night. It makes me so tired that I can't work during the day." Right. There's something I forgot to tell you. The reason Carter still has feelings for you is actually just to stabilize the baby in your belly. You don't really think he loves you sincerely, do you? Stop thinking about it. "Oh," Carter said before, "you used to have a great figure. He particularly liked your scent. But so what? Now the one lying in his bed with him is me. Isabella, you will never be able to compare to me." Looking at these photos and texts, I can only feel speechless. This Sophia is truly outrageous to the extreme. Does she think this will make me uncomfortable? I scoffed. I replied to her with a text message. "It really makes me uncomfortable to look at." Then I immediately blocked her. "You want to use such a lowly tactic to provoke me? It's truly ridiculous. This level of provocation, to me, it's really not worth mentioning." After being blocked, I immediately changed my phone number. I canceled all means of contact. Since I'm starting a new life, I have to completely sever ties with the past to completely get rid of those two annoying guys. I decided to fake my own death and then go abroad. I asked a friend for help and got a fake death certificate. It stated that I died due to complications during childbirth. Then I bought a plane ticket and flew directly overseas. I plan to start over, to completely say goodbye to my previous life. Carter, I understand you're hurting inside, but the person is gone. We can't change that. You can't always dwell in the memories of the past," Sophia said, while quietly watching Carter's expression. Carter shot a cold glance at Sophia and said nothing. "Actually, Isabella is gone, for you, for her. It's all a form of release." Sophia is still pretending to speak with composure. Carter suddenly grabbed her by the neck. His voice was as cold as ice. "Sophia, don't say anything more. You have no right to mention her name. You think I don't know about the things you've done?" Sophia was taken aback. She quickly explained, "Carter, don't misunderstand. I mean no harm. I just want to advise you not to get too caught up in it. How can you expect me to let go?" Carter's emotions spiraled out of control again. He covered his head, slowly sat down, continuously murmuring, "The person I love is no longer here. If I hadn't divorced her, if I hadn't left her side, how could I only now find out that she died in childbirth? How can you expect me to accept this fact?" Sophia saw this scene. She rolled her eyes. Feigning shyness, she lowered her head. Her voice was as soft as a mosquito's buzz. "Carter, actually, the reason I came to find you today is to tell you I'm pregnant." Carter was taken aback. He widened his eyes, staring at Sophia, as if he had heard something unbelievable. "Pregnant? You said you're pregnant?" Carter's tone was laced with obvious sarcasm. Sophia thought he didn't believe her, quickly took out the hospital report from her bag, handed it to him. "Carter, look, I'm really pregnant. This is our child." Carter took the report, glimpsed at it casually, let out a couple of cold laughs, tore the report to shreds. "Sophia, you think I would believe your lies? Besides, what right do you have to have a child with me, trying to use a child to tie me down? You are so naive." Carter's words were full of disdain. Sophia's face suddenly turned pale. At that moment, the assistant walked in from outside, handing over a document. He said, "Boss, I have clarified the timeline and experiences of the lady during that period. The report is here." Carter opened the file. At first glance, he saw the intimate photo sent to Isabella by Sophia to provoke her. He recalled the death report stating that Isabella was depressed during her pregnancy. She was often agitated. It severely affected her health. She ultimately died due to complications during childbirth. Every time Carter thought about how his wife was provoked and hurt by those photos and provocations, his heart felt like it was being cut by a knife. "Carter, Sophia also saw the content of the report. Stammering, she tried to explain, but she realized she really didn't know what to say. The more Carter thought about it, the angrier he became. Carter became angrier the more he thought about it. He grabbed Sophia by the collar. He said through gritted teeth, "Sophia, it's all because of you. Isabella wouldn't have gotten into trouble." Sophia realizes she has no way out. She still wants to defend herself. "Carter, this really has nothing to do with me. I didn't expect Isabella to be affected either. No, that's not right. Isabella has always had poor health. Her complications during childbirth really aren't my fault. It's just her bad luck to see Carter's expression growing harsher. Sophia quickly kneels down, crying and begging for his forgiveness. Carter, I know I was wrong. I won't dare to do it again. Please forgive me, as long as you're willing to forgive me. I'll do anything. Carter coldly smirks. He says, "You do anything, all right? Then go die. If you die, you can apologize to Isabella." Sophia is scared out of her wits. She understands that Carter is not joking around. He really wants her life. "Carter, you can't treat me like this. I truly love you. I really love you." Sophia cried out. "Love? Is your love about making me lose the person I love the most?" Carter grabbed Sophia. He slapped her a few times hard, then told her to leave. "Don't let him see you again." Not long after, Carter used his various connections to ruin Sophia's reputation in the modeling industry. She lost everything. In just one night, she was pushed from the peak to the bottom. Sophia completely broke down. To get revenge on Carter, she contacted reporters to expose him, claiming that Carter cheated in his marriage and was abusive. She also fabricated many false stories about Carter, hoping to completely destroy his reputation and career. As a result, the stock price of Carter Company suddenly plummeted. Partners are also withdrawing their investments one after another. Carter Group is in an unprecedented crisis. The company quickly stabilized, but Sophia has already ruined everything for me. I will not let her off easily. In the dimly lit room, I hold a photo of Isabella in my hand. She has a radiant smile in the photo, so beautiful that it tugs at my heart. I gently stroke the photo. My heart is filled with guilt. "Isabella, don't worry. I will never let those who hurt you go unpunished." I put down the photo. I slowly stand up. I walk in front of Sophia, who is tied to the chair. Her hair is a mess. Her clothes are also disheveled. She looks like she has been tortured. There are many bruises on her face. I slowly approach. Sophia is crying very hard. Her face was covered in tears and snot. She said, sobbing, "Carter, Carter, I really know I was wrong. Isabella, it's my fault for her." I picked up a document from the table. I untied one of her hands. I handed the document to her. "Say it. Just sign it." Sophia trembled as she took the document. In the dim light, she was able to see the contents clearly. Her face suddenly turned pale. Her body began to tremble uncontrollably. "This is a loan shark. Oh my God. I borrowed a large sum of money in your name. The amount is substantial, enough to keep you in debt for a long time. This gift. What do you think? Carter, haven't you tortured me enough these days? How can you be so heartless, harsh? What's the big deal compared to what you did to Isabella? What I've done is nothing at all. Right now, it's just a few days of suffering for you. You can't stand it. Don't worry. I won't let you escape so easily. I will plan it carefully, to let you feel what despair is, bit by bit, what it's like to wish you were dead. I will make you live in the shadow of fear every day. By the way, I almost forgot to mention the debt collection and the work in the red light district. You might consider taking it on. That way, life will be a bit easier. I've arranged everything for you. Next, it's all up to your fate now. Sophia has been taken away by the loan sharks. I'm afraid it's hard for her to escape this predicament now. Perhaps I will be sold abroad, but I can't worry about that anymore. The days to come, all I do besides work is drink. I want to numb myself with alcohol. Carter, you've already had enough to drink. Stop drinking. Isabella would definitely not want to see you ruin yourself like this. The assistant quietly advised me. His tone was filled with concern. I waved my hand, indicating for him to leave. Isabella is gone. What meaning does my life have now, 6 months later? My body was almost at its limit. At that moment, my friend Ethan returned from abroad. He excitedly told me a shocking piece of news. Carter, I have to tell you. I saw someone abroad. She looks a lot like Isabella. When I got back, I had someone look into it. It turns out she is actually still alive. She just pretended to be dead. She even bought a burial plot to confuse everyone. Then she immediately went abroad, completely disappeared. That's why we didn't notice anything was wrong. After knowing about this matter, I feel like the whole world has brightened up again. I can't give up. I must find Isabella. I want to ask her in person. Why did she pretend to be dead back then? Was it just to leave me? I need to find her. I have to go. The sun is shining on my face. It feels warm. I'm standing on the Champs-Élysées, watching the crowds come and go. For the first time, I feel like I belong in this vibrant and romantic city. Who would have thought? Isabella, who once lost everything for love, now has become a top model agent. When I first arrived here, my days were not easy. Although there was a language barrier, and the lifestyle was different, I also had to face fierce industry competition, but I didn't give up. I told myself, you must stand your ground here, live your life to the fullest. So I started to work hard on learning French, actively participate in various activities, strive to connect with designers and models. With a keen sense of fashion and continuous effort, I gradually found my place in the industry. I particularly enjoy working with my models. Whenever I see them shining on stage, I feel incredibly happy. Here I can live life my own way, doing what I truly love. I regained my confidence. I became myself again. One day, I was organizing documents in the office. My assistant, Anna, suddenly walked in. She said, "Isabella, there's a gentleman outside looking for you. He seems quite mature. Is he your boyfriend? By the way, he mentioned his name is Carter." Carter. My heart suddenly tightened, as if something had struck me heavily. How does he know I'm still alive? He even found his way here. I took a deep breath. I tried to calm myself down, let him in. After I finished speaking, Carter walked into the office. As soon as he entered, he stared at me. His eyes were filled with guilt, longing, and pain. He said, "Isabella, you really are still alive." I knew it. I just knew it. He called me softly. His voice trembled a bit. I quietly looked at him. I didn't say anything. He has lost quite a bit of weight compared to before. There are more wrinkles at the corners of his eyes. Half of his hair has turned white as well. The once vibrant young man now looks much more mature and composed. He said to Isabella, "Isabella, I understand that I was wrong. I truly understand now. Can you forgive me? Let's start over." He walked up to me. He held my hand tightly. I tried hard to shake off his hand, but he was holding on too tightly. I couldn't break free at all. "Carter, let go of me," I said coldly. "Isabella, I have done many things to upset you. It's normal for you to be angry with me, but I promise you, from now on, I will never treat you like that again. I will use the rest of my time to make it up to you," he said excitedly. "And Sophia, I have seen her true colors. If it weren't for her stirring things up, you wouldn't have divorced me so quickly, and you definitely wouldn't have aborted the child and pretended to die and go abroad. I helped you vent your frustration. She will never appear in front of you again. Does this make you feel a bit better inside? Give me a chance to forgive me." His words sent chills down my spine. I shook his hand off forcefully. I stepped back a few paces. "Keep your distance from him. Carter, you need to wake up. Everything is beyond repair now." His gaze turned dim. His face was filled with pain. "Isabella, do you really no longer love me? Do you really not remember the wonderful times we had?" "Love? Beautiful." I let out a cold laugh. "Carter, you keep saying you love me, but you act all sentimental in front of me. Yet behind my back, you're with another woman. Then I'd rather forget this uncomfortable beauty." Looking at Carter, who was on the verge of collapse, I fell silent for a moment, calmly said, "Carter, don't say any more. I'm no longer the fool who would give up everything for love. I have a new life now. I won't go back to the past." Carter closed his eyes. 2 lines of tears slid down his face. "Isabella, I understand that I don't deserve you now, and I have no face to ask for your forgiveness, but I still want to tell you. I love you. I have always loved you. I will never forget you." I turned around. I didn't want to see him anymore. "Carter, please go. It's already impossible between us," I said coldly. He said nothing. He turned and walked out of my office. I stood by the window, watching him gradually disappear into the crowd. I felt a pang in my heart. Maybe I still have a little feeling for him, but those are all things of the past now. I cannot return to those days filled with pain and disappointment. I want to move towards the future, live a more wonderful life. Carter, we are destined to be fleeting passers-by in each other's lives.